Hello all, welcome to Embedded Linux Learning Point, Linux from Scratch 11.1, Episode 9. In this episode, we will continue from where we left from the last episode. Here we see we will build the GCC 11.2.0 Pass1 package. The GCC package contains the GNU compiler collection, which includes the C and C++ compilers, which is very important for any toolchain. The approximate build time is 11 SBU. I think it'll take a lot of time. Required disk space is 3.3 GB, which we already have. Installation of cross GCC. GCC requires the GMP, MPFR, and MPC packages. As these packages may not be included in your host distribution, they will be difficult. They will be built with GCC. Unpack each package into the GCC source directory and rename the resulting directories so the GCC build produce procedures will automatically use them. So this basically is happening here. So we will unpack the MPFR, GMP, MPC uh, folders. I mean the packages. So let me go to the terminal. Okay, we are in the sources. Let's find out MPFR. I think we have MPFR 4.1.0. So let's extract them. Okay, so it says, okay, let's, okay, I think what we have to do is first thing is we need to extract the GCC package. So tar hyphen xvf, maybe I'll do an xf. I don't want to uh, see what's happening. So I think it will be downloaded. Sorry, it will be extracted. xf and gcc 11.2.0. So I think we're building for 11.2.0. So let's extract it. Okay, I think it will take some time. Now we will extract this packages, copy. Now we are into GCC 11.2.0 folder and extract them. Okay, so then we move this to this package. We move the mper folder. Basically, we are renaming the mpfr folder. Okay, so then again the same we will do for GMP. We extract and we just rename the folder without the version number. So that's the step here. Similarly for the MPC, and we rename MPC without the version number. Well, that's done. So in the case of x86-64 architecture, hosts set the default directory name for 64-bit libraries to lib. So that is what's happening here. Okay, so here if you have to see, SED is actually an utility to replace the content. SED hyphen E. Basically, what we're doing is we are replacing this with this line. Okay, then the GCC documentation recommends building GCC in a dedicated build directory. So we create build directory here. We do a make dir when we build, and then we cd to build. Okay, then preparing GCC for compilation. So here we are preparing the configuration. So okay, so uh, it is prepares GCC for the build. But let's understand what these configuration options mean. With glibc version is 3.25. This option specifies the version of glibc which will be used on the target. It is not relevant to the libc of the host distro because everything compiled by pass1 GCC will run in the chroot environment, which is isolated from the libc of the host distro. With new lib, with new lib, since a working C library is not yet available, this ensures that the init lib init sorry, inhibit libc constant is defined when building glibc. This prevents the compilation of any code that requires libc support. Without headers, when creating a complete cross compiler, GCC requires standard headers compatible with the target system. For our purpose, these headers will not be needed. This switches prevents GCC from looking for them. Enable init in, init fini array. This switch forces the use of some internal data structures that are needed but cannot be detected when building a cross compiler. Disable shared. This switch forces GCC to link its internal libraries statically. We need this because shared libraries require glibc, which is not yet installed on the target system. Disable multilib. On x86-64, LFS does not support a multilib configuration. This switches the harm. This switch is harmless for x86. Disable decimal float. Disable thread. Disable libatomic. Disable libgomp. Disable libquadmath. Disable libssp. Disable libvtv. Disable libstdcxx. I mean, C++. So these switches disable support for the decimal floating point extension, threading, libatomic, libcomp, lib, libquadmath, libssp, libvtv, and the C++ standard library respectively. These features will fail to compile when building a cross compiler and not necessary for the task of cross compiling the temporary libc. Enable languages C, C++. This option ensures that only C and C++ compilers are built. These are the only languages needed now. As we know, uh, GCC contains different other compilers as well. So we're building only for C, C++. Okay, then compile GCC by running make. Now we're ready. So let's do a make. Okay, so now it is running. I think it'll take a lot of time. By then we will just see what uh, glibc is needed for. Okay, so overall assumption is compiler collection. Okay, I'll go to my host computer and I will search because in the system that I'm using here, the time is not matching with the clock setting is not correct. So that is the reason its clock is behind. My PC clock is behind the actual clock. It still shows the Friday, July 1st. It's incorrect. So the reason it's happening is because I am taking snapshots whenever I start working with this. So that is the reason I have this issue. Probably next time when I start an episode, I'll first set the date and time so that I have the latest date and time available uh, during the build. Okay, so it's compiling here. Let's see what the GCC is required for. Okay, so GCC compiler collection, if you see, it contains a lot of different things. The language standard supported by GCC. So if I go here, it supports C language, C++ language, Objective-C, Objective-C++ languages, Go language, D language, and references for other languages about this kind. So basically, it has a lot of different support for different languages. So let's not go deep into this because this in itself deserves a course, I would say. Okay, so it's building, let it build. Okay, now that the build is finished, we will see. I think we need to install the package. For that, we'll use make install, and now the installation will be done in the mount LFS tools directory. Okay, it's installing the tools with the necessary permissions 644. Great. Now let's just check the where if we have the proper C file or not. Mount, I mean C compiler or so. LFS. Then we have a bin. Okay, it's not there in bin. LFS bin, not an S bin. Mount LFS. Oh, sorry, it will be in tools. In the tools, you have the bin. Okay, the bin. Let me just go through. You see, we have the GNU, G++, GCC compilers installed. So yes, I think that's fine. We're good to go. Okay, this build of GCC has installed a couple of internal system headers. Normally, one of them is limit.h would run in turn include the corresponding system limits.h header. In this case, LFS user include limits.h. However, at the time of this build of GCC, LFS user include limit storage does not exist. So the internal header that has just been installed is a partial self-contained file and does not include the extended feature of the system header. This is adequate for building glibc, but the full internal header will be needed later. Create a full version of the internal header using the command that is identical to what the GCC build system does in normal circumstances. So we go back to cd dot dot double dot and then we cat GCC limits.h file to the new directory that we are supposed to install. Okay, okay, so install tools include limits.h. So now let's see ls bin tools. Not here. GCC. Okay, limits.h directory names. Eclipse name install tools. Okay, I think here what we're doing is a full version of the internal header using the command that is identical to what the glibc build system does in normal circumstances. So we are just copying these files, GCC uh, headers, into this limits.h file. Install tools include limits.h. Yeah, I think that's what we're doing here. Okay, so that's it for now. I'll now that the GCC is build is finished, we'll continue in the next episode. Thanks for watching. Version of the internal header using the command that is identical to what the GCC build system does in normal circumstances. So we go back to cd dot dot double dot and then we cat GCC limits.h file to the new directory that we are supposed to install. Okay, okay, so install tools include limits.h. So Now let's see ls bin tools. Not here. GCC. Okay. Limits.h. Directory names. Eclipse name install tools. Okay. I think here what we're doing is a full version of the internal header using the command that is identical to what the glibc build system does in normal circumstances. So we are just copying these files, GCC uh, headers, into this limits.h file. Install tools include limits.h. Yeah, I think that's what we're doing here. Okay, so that's it for now. I'll know that the GCC is build is finished. We'll continue in the next episode. Thanks for watching.